Hey Vamsee, super happy to connect with you. It's been about 6 to 7 months of our journey together, and congratulations to you on your graduation. How does it feel to be here?
I think it's been good. I thought I'll be done with this journey in 2, 3 months. You'll give me skills and I'll be on my way. But it took longer, and for various reasons, me being sick and mental health issues and all of that. But I'm glad I've been able to keep up with this for 6 months.
Absolutely, and your commitment and your hard work, despite so many ups and downs, it's like super inspiring, Vamsee. And I'm so happy to be here today, recounting this journey with you. And I feel extremely proud of your progress, despite all the chaos that was going on around you. So, can you take a couple of minutes to share about what you do and your family a little bit, Vamsee?
Okay, so I am a working woman. I like most working women, I guess we are the all-rounders at home. So not only do I have a day job, but I help out my daughter with her studies. I manage the finances in the home. I'm the big secretary of the home, planning vacations, planning get-togethers with people. Uh, Pretty much anything, managing the maids, running the family, ordering groceries, just all of that, like most of us do. That's what we do. Some of my work entails having calls in the night. I do work a day job, but I have clients in the US, so I have night calls, because of which sometimes sleep gets disrupted. But otherwise, it's just your regular job. I don't work 8 hours on most days, but some days I do end up working 12 hours or more. Um, but but I'm always doing something, like most women are, there's just no time to sit and do that.
That so resonates, Vamsi, and I totally understand what you're going through. And I'm sure a lot of the women in our space, especially in the 40s, can definitely connect with your story a whole lot. And this is the second time around we are doing this, right, Vamsi? And back in I think 2020 or 2020 was when we did this together. Went through a transformation of your lifestyle, and at that point it was mostly around nutrition and exercise, and then you were able to still kind of sustain so many of the habits. You were able to stay consistent. And can you tell me what was going on around this time, last year, 2023, that prompted you to come up with this decision of working with the coach? So what was really going on?
Um, a lot of us know what to do in terms of losing weight and being fit and things like that. But there are various things in our life that take over. And then you're like, oh, today I have this to do. So maybe I'll skip my exercise today. Or today I have guests coming. So I'll have to cook this lavish meal and not eat. So I think part of it was that. Part of it was not prioritizing what you need. Um, and, you know, if with nutrition and fitness, if you're not on it all the time, then you lose the habit. So I think maybe that's what happened between when I last worked with you for just a few months. We were selling our home. We were, sending my niece to college, so working on her college applications. We were moving from Bombay to Hyderabad. There was just so much going on. Then Saru had a US job, which meant he was out for months. So it was hard to just be doing just the regular things, that some of these other stuff would fall by the wayside. So this time around, I felt like I had put on a little bit of weight, and more importantly, I felt like I needed to focus and get those habits in. Um, I also was dealing with some sort of stress at home. So I also, was this super angry person, and I felt like I needed to do something to manage that. So I think maybe that was the biggest thing. So I felt like I needed to manage stress. and then the weight and all of that was secondary. So mostly that is why I reached out to you. But then, of course, all of us want to lose weight. So that was the secondary goal.
Thanks for sharing that, Vamsee. So it was basically juggling a priority somewhere you had kind of lost focus about your nutrition and fitness with so much going on around you. Second thing was that led to inconsistent habits, right? And like you rightly said, unless we are constantly having our nutrition and our health and our fitness as one of the top priorities, it's very, very easy for the rest of the priorities to kind of take focus. So inconsistency was the other big challenge. The most important thing was stress management, recovery, and emotional regulation. You noticed that that was one of the reasons you were quite unhappy with yourself, apart from your body composition, right? You were going through a lot of stress when you met me. And I, in fact, even remember, even before we took on any of the practices, we said, hey, let's first focus on de-stressing and get your mental space in order so that you can actually focus on other aspects which don't require a lot of mental energy, right? So Vamsee, if you can just share, how was this journey for you? I know it was not easy at all, right? It was very, very difficult. Although the biggest step was, hey, I need help and I need to take a coach. The journey itself was very, very hard. So let's talk about what prompted you to take this decision to work with a coach. What do you think a coach would fill up the gap for you?
Um, like a lot of people, I think I struggle with, what we call willpower and the sort of grit to just hang in there, do the right thing day after day. Um, so I figured I needed help for that. So I needed help for, having somebody watch over me and make sure that I was doing what I was supposed to do until it became a habit. So
So
I
for
think
you, the
that was the goal.
accountability was important, right? So
Yeah.
working with a coach, helping you or guiding you through the journey, what aspects to work on, like it can be very, very overwhelming, right? Like what should I work on first? Like I'm going through all of this. How should I approach this? So those are some big questions women typically have, and they are kind of feeling very confused with everything, very overwhelmed. Because when you're caught in it, it's so difficult to kind of step outside and zoom out and look at it and take objective decisions. That is where the coach can help you, right? Like look at it holistically and figure out, hey, this is what you need the most. And once this is taken care of, we can work on the rest of the stuff. So thank you for sharing that, Vamsee. So if you can just encapsulate your journey, in a few sentences, how would you talk about your journey, over the last 6 months?
Um, so when I started off, I was in a bad place mentally. Physically, I think I was okay. I mean, I wasn't super consistent for various reasons with workout and nutrition, but I wasn't one of those that was binge eating or that was not exercising at all. I just needed to take, on a scale of 0 to 10, I was probably at 6 or 7, and I felt like I needed to take it up higher. So even with mental stress and all that, I wasn't really at a very low point, and I've always been strong enough to take care of myself. Um, and get out of it. I think it was just a combination of um everybody around me being very busy to help me out this time. Um, so so I felt like, okay, I should work with somebody that can, and also everybody that is close to me has their own perspective on it, which wasn't helping because their personality is not my personality. And I was just unable to react the way they thought I should react or cope with it the way they thought I should cope with it. So it just wasn't helpful. So I think that was one of the reason I joined. And I think right away, we started a few practices where, we try to focus on the positive that's going on in our lives, um, focus on calming down and things like that. Those worked. Now, unfortunately, with nutrition and workout, I right at the time when we started the coaching, I had this viral fever, because of which my joints and a lot of my body fitness went up for a toss. Even the simple act of standing up from a sitting position, turned out to be really hard, because all of the joints, hand joints, shoulder joints, leg joints, they were all just completely busted. I went from being a 48-year person to having the fitness of maybe a 65-year. So we started at that low. And I was like, what do I do? I mean, I can lift so many kgs of weights, and I can do all of these exercises in the gym, but suddenly I was unable to do anything. So we focused on the stress aspect of it. We focused on nutrition. Also had a tough time because I wasn't able to eat much those days. So slowly we started one practice after another. Looked at my life holistically to see what it is that I want to do, cut back on work, which anyway was my plan. And I think very slowly my fitness improved. And I used to still go to the gym, even with all of those joint pains, tell my trainer to give me the lowest weight. If I'm able to do it, then I would increase the weight. So it was a very slow and steady approach to the opposite to what I would have liked. I would have liked to just, do something, lose the weight, be done. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Vamsee. Yeah, so it was a lot of ups and downs, right? Totally unexpected. Like we started off on a good note, few practices were going on, and suddenly, boom, you were hit with that viral attack. And that was really a big shock, right? Like not being able to be physically active. You thought, okay, let me just join, and then full speed, I'm just going to get over with all the skills, nutrition, fitness, and the rest of it. And then, boom, I'm just going to graduate in like 3 months, but this took a really, really long time. So how did you think you were able to reframe your mindset during this time, and what skills helped you, Vamsee?
I think more than anything, like being so physically unable to do the exercises I used to do, that sort of shocked me into thinking, what if this is who I will be when I'm older? And that really scared me. So that made me think, okay, the viral fever, all the doctors told me it takes a few months, it goes off on its own, there's no medicine. So I was sure it'll go off. But then it gave me a glimpse of what life would be if I was not fit. So that was a very scary proposition, because I am one of those who wants to, be out and about, walking, hiking, traveling the world, just going to parties, all of that. And suddenly I just couldn't do that. So I think now, then the coaching thing took a different turn, where I said, no matter what, I need to be very fit. And those days, nutrition was something I could do, um, because, my I was able to eat, and then I said, okay, let's focus on this. So it was very hard in the beginning to follow the practices I started, because we were reducing portions a little bit to eat the right amount of carbs and vegetables and protein and all of that. And that would keep me hungry in the night. So it was a miserable week or 10 days, I would say. But then it slowly got better. And now I'm pretty used to, eating what, I should be eating on the plate.
Awesome, Vamsee. So that must have been a really, really big shocker, like you said, a kind of like a moment where it made you feel like, oh my God, you know what's going to happen at 60 or 70 if I'm like this? And I really need to kind of prioritize myself and take this head on and make sure I get out of this space as soon as possible. So it was a combination of figuring out or dealing or navigating your own thoughts and emotions during that time, because it was like kind of like an absolute low for you, right? And not just once, but twice or thrice, right? During the 6 months that we went on. So slowly you built your mental strength and resilience with focusing on looking at your mindset, looking at your thoughts a little bit closely, your emotions. So can we talk a little bit about your emotional regulation aspect that we worked on, Vamsee?
Um, I don't know. What did we do for my emotional regulation?
So we took on the practice of notice and name, which is pausing, noticing your emotions, labeling them, understanding what purpose does that serve you, and how to kind of respond in a situation rather than react. So how useful was that for you?
I think, see, I've always been one of those that was in line with my emotions. I knew exactly what I felt, where my head was generally itself. I think this helped it even more to notice a lot of things. And I think when you notice and name is when you it hits you and you're like, oh wow, okay, I need to stop doing this. So one of the things that we did was we decided to, Srividya had a transformation checklist for me where I was checking all of the practices. But we also had a checklist at home where I wanted to see how I was, behaving with my family and how many days a week I was getting mad and for what reason, and how many days I was getting mad when I was teaching my daughter and all of that. So suddenly that idea of putting down on paper that, oh my God, I'm screaming 3 days out of 7 days, I think that sort of helped self-regulate, because nobody wants to put down on a paper that they're an angry parent and stuff like that. So even before I followed that practice, just the thought of it was good enough to say, okay, we need to change tactics and we need to be more kinder and nicer and understanding of the situation. So I think that was very helpful.
Awesome, Vamsee. I mean, your self-awareness again was the biggest strength in our journey, right? Which helped me also coach you better, banking on your strengths. So one of the other strengths that we kind of unleashed was going back on your journey back in 2022 and understanding IF was the game changer for you at that time to lose weight, right? So as we started this journey, we worked on de-stressing. We were really not focusing on weight loss at that time because that was your priority at that time, to kind of first have a calm mental space. And then we started working on your nutritional aspects, and still the weight wasn't coming down, right? And that's when we said, hey, maybe we should take on IF and give that a try this time and see how that works for you. So can you talk about your weight loss journey per se during this time, Vamsee?
Right. So one of the things I wanted this time around was to come up with a practice where I don't feel deprived of eating good things. I wanted something that was sustainable, that I can keep doing without feeling like, oh my God, I'm not eating. So, so I have mostly people skip breakfast, but breakfast is one of my favorite meals. So also, I'm one of those. I mean, I think I have good metabolism because I wake up hungry, um, and I need that nourishment in the morning, and I work out in the morning. So there was no way I could do that morning skip the breakfast. So we came up with the idea of skipping dinner and replacing that with a protein smoothie. So I said, why not? I mean, dinner is okay. And what I would do is in the beginning, have a snack at around 4-ish or something. And then I would have my smoothie later on and completely replace dinner. So that was very hard in the beginning. I would be rolling in the bed hungry, like, oh, let's go down and eat a slice of bread, or let me just go eat something. So I think I held myself for a week. I said, no, 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 hang in there. This will get better. So after that week, 10 days, then my body got used to it. And now, after 6 months of doing the protein smoothie, I replaced it with a bowl of clear soup with vegetables and a little bit of protein. If I have some few pieces of chicken, tofu, or something. So it's not exactly the protein smoothie, but again, it's similar calories. So it's clear chicken stock with some vegetables, so it can't be beat. So I think that helped. Also, what helped was my plating in the morning, breakfast and lunch. So I wanted to make sure I was eating the right composition of food. Um, I always thought I would eat vegetables, but then when we started talking and looking at the quantity, I realized I wasn't eating that much. Um, so my husband doesn't eat too much spice, so we make different food for him, and I eat spicy food. And then I realized um, if I'm eating spicy, I can't eat too much vegetables. But I love spicy food, right? So I would still eat like a little bit. So my main meal of the day would be my spicy food with rice. But the rest of his horrible, what I call hospital food, which I would never touch at all, suddenly I would take a spoon, and because it doesn't have spice, I can just eat it. I mean, it's tasty. It just doesn't taste well with rice because there's no karam and whatnot in it. So I think that sort of, so the hospital food plus my tasty food plus protein anyway for non-vegetarians is an easy thing to add on the plate. It's very tasty. I make it as spicy as I want, or not, whatever. So I think slowly changing that also helped.
Awesome, Vamsee. Thank you so much for articulating beautifully about the skills that you learned and how we made this sustainable and made it work for you, given your lifestyle and your choices. So this is something that I want to share to all the women watching, which is weight loss is all about calorie deficit, and it's not necessary to label the diet that you're doing, be it IF or keto or whatever it is. The point is, how do we make this work for you and create a calorie deficit? And it's okay to not skip breakfast. It's okay to not skip dinner, right? You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do a 16-8 fasting to see the results. The point is, if you're hungry, based on how hungry you want to plate your meal. So, given that Vamsi was really not eating a really big meal for dinner, we had to prioritize her nutrition for her breakfast and lunch to make sure she got the adequate protein and vegetables and all of the good stuff early on so that she can just eat a very, very light dinner. And this was one thing that we noticed that Vamsi started losing hair a little bit in the beginning. And that's when we also diagnosed that she had the mild hypothyroidism, which got corrected because of focusing on better nutrition with her meals. Right, Vamsi?
Yeah. I think all that hypothyroidism was basically a function of things getting messed up with the viral fever because a whole bunch of my markers were off. The markers were never off like this before, but they were.
Mm.
So in the coming weeks, I will redo the test, and I'm pretty sure they'll come out fine. Um, I
Absolutely. I
stopped
think
taking
back to
the
back.
thyroid medicine also. I just,
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic. Super, Vamsi. So basically, meal plating skills were skills that we give a lot of importance to because again, nutrition and health comes first before weight loss. Once the nutrition is in place, we can play around with the portions and make sure you're in a calorie deficit. So now let's talk about how we made the calorie deficit happen without counting, Vamsi. So can you tell me how that worked for
Um, I think we didn't count, but people usually pile on a huge pile of rice in the middle, and then there's little bits of sabji around. And I've never eaten a pile of rice, but I've eaten a decent portion. And again, spicy Telugu food is a lot of chutneys, right? Which have some nutrition, but not the most, but I love them. So I still have like a spicy chutney with dal and ghee with a little bit of rice. That's my thing. But all of my other stir fries and whatever the kutu and stuff like that, that doesn't have much spice. So I'm able to eat that vegetable by itself without needing to mix with rice. And the other thing I think that's easy for a lot of Telugu people is because we love curd, and a lot of vegetables go very well with curd. So if it's a fry like dondakai or tinla and few other things, they go really well with curd. So instead of putting them in rice, you just do that. So that's what I ended up doing. I think you can make it happen when you want to do it. You just need to think about it enough and think about it long enough to look at what has been done at home. And then, if it's sambar at home, then sambar is your soup with a little bit, with a sprinkling of rice. And sambar has a lot of vegetables that we have. So that's that. So that's your main meal, and the remaining is yogurt with vegetables or just vegetables by themselves. And also, I don't know if you want me to bring this in right now, but we did do work on eating slowly. And also, what was happening with us is my workout happens from 8:15 to 9:15 or 8:30 to 9:30, and I eat my breakfast at that time. So I was eating breakfast at 10 a.m. And then I would go downstairs for lunch at 12:30, 1 o'clock when I wasn't too hungry. But it's lunchtime. You have to eat, right? My maid is screaming from downstairs saying, Madam, khana nahi khaya. So I would go at 1 o'clock. And while I was still a little, not super hungry. So what I would do is I would eat, and then 4 o'clock, 4:30, invariably you have that craving for the afternoon snack or afternoon coffee chai thing. So then I would snack a little bit here and there. Nothing crazy, like chips and stuff like that, but still it's adding calories. So what I did was, Srividya said, why don't we try eating when you're hungry? So then we stopped eating at 1 o'clock. I would just watch myself, and when I was hungry, which was usually happening around the 2 to 15 time frame, then I would go down and eat very slowly. So I would end up eating for an hour, either while watching TV or just sitting by myself or listening to an audiobook or whatever. But it would take me a whole hour to get started with my protein, then my food and all of that. And then I was no longer hungry for a snack. I still wanted my chai and coffee, didn't want to give that up, but I wasn't hungry for a snack. So that took care of the snacking habit. And I think that really added a lot of value to my calories.
Thank you so much, Vamsee. So it was my meal plating skills again that really helped you focus on fiber and protein, which automatically reduce the portion of your carbs. We never went for reducing carbs directly. We said, hey, add to your plate. That will take care of the rest of it. Second thing is doing minor tweaks to your plating, right? Having your vegetables with curd, brilliant combination. You don't need rice to eat your vegetables. If you have like curd along with it, you're quite happy with that. Third important thing is intuitive eating skills, using mindfulness, eating when you're hungry, not labeling your meal as breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and not looking at your clock and eating, but focusing on your body clock. If you're hungry, absolutely allow yourself to eat, and also focusing on really savoring your food. You're already a very slow eater. I think that the challenge with you was eating to the time. So once we removed the time out of the equation, you could naturally focus on your body cues, and then of course your slow eating skills kicked in. We honed it a little bit more, which allowed you to feel really happy and satisfied, and that took care of the calorie deficit automatically, right? Because you didn't need like a snack. The other big thing is, oh, do I have to quit coffee and chai if I want to lose weight? How about that on your program? Or do I have to give up on my sweets or my savories if I have to lose weight? What are your thoughts on it?
So I think automatically when you're on a path where you're watching what you eat, you tend not to focus on that. But I wouldn't deprive myself. If there is ice cream at home, I mean, one of the days it's super hot here. If there's ice cream, I'll eat it. But I won't eat. I mean, there was a time when I could, finish a small whatever this of ice cream or like a biscuit packet in one sitting. I can finish it. I can eat, two laddus at a time and things like that. So you automatically watch yourself and say, let me get a little bit on my plate, walk away from the sweet, and see if that's enough. And a lot of times, you eat the sweet, you drink water, you're talking to somebody, you're watching something, it's enough. you don't go back for seconds. So we tried a lot of strategies. I again will eat sweet. Like today is Telugu New Year, so there is a sweet at home. I'll eat it, but I don't eat a bowl full of it. I'll eat how much ever is enough, and then be done.
So that was a crucial skill for you, right, Vamsee? Understanding what portions really satisfy you and not feeling like you have to restrict yourself or you have to deprive yourself in order to see the results that you want for yourself. So all this while in the last 6 months, we never told you don't eat this or don't do this, right? It was about, hey, figure out what you want for yourself. Let's put some skills in place, and then you decide for yourself where you want to stop that meal or the snack or that sweet, right,
Yeah.
Vamsee? So let's talk about your transformation. I know it took a really long time, but then you were like really surprised when the tailor showed up. So can you talk about that? How did you exactly find out, and what results do you have to share?
So Srividya would keep asking me to check my weight, and I would do that, but the scale wasn't budging much. And she would keep telling me to take measurements, but I could never find the tape in the right place, and I would keep giving excuses and stuff. So this one time I had a tailor come and make me clothes. She measured me, she made clothes, sent them back. Then a month or two later, she did the same thing. And the second time, the fitting was all off. And I called her. I said, no, you need to come home and see what you've done. You've not really done a good job this time. And she was puzzled, and she came home. She saw I wore the dress and showed her. And she said, oh, wait, yeah, this is not right. And she measured. And then she said, oh, the problem is not me. The problem is you. Your inches went down. So that's why these clothes are loose. It's not that I did a bad job. So that's how I found out that at various places I did lose inches. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, so quite a surprise that would have been, Vamsi. So thanks for sharing that. But I do want to point out here to all women watching, especially in the 40s, it's a very, very tough time. You don't see changes happening on the scale. And Vamsi is not the only client of mine who's going through this. I go through this, my clients go through this all the time. And to help with looking at your progress, we look at many different things, not just the scale as a metric. I mean, we of course did start tracking on a daily basis to see the fluctuations and capture the trend over time. And actually, we did see the downward trend happening. It just took a really long time. As we started bumping up the consistency with the practices, started tweaking the practices a little bit more, the scale started to move. So rather than obsessing about the number, I would like for you all to look at your consistency and look at your practices holistically and see what changes need to be done. The second thing that we started looking at, of course, was the measurements and pictures, front view, side view, and back view, and tracking that over time. And the other important thing is looking at non-scale victories. How are you doing mentally? How are you doing emotionally? How is your cravings? How is your consistency with your meals? How is your skin? How is your hair? Your nails? All of that doing, because these are all small progress indicators that tell us that we are moving in the right direction, that the nutrition program is working for you. And your body is starting to respond, maybe not in the ways that you want it to or you expected it to, but it is responding nevertheless. And in time, from showing up consistently, you are going to get your goals. Maybe not in 6 months, but maybe in a year. But so what? This is a long term journey, right? The point should be about making sure you're on the right path. And so long as you know you're on the right path, the results will actually happen, right? You just need to focus on your behaviors. So, thank you so much, Vamsi, for sharing that. And what was your aha moment for you while you worked this time around on your journey? Any insights that you would like to share?
I think so. One of the things, like eat when hungry thing, like really worked for me. So I now didn't have to say, oh, let me have my breakfast at this time, lunch at this time. And because I was eating only when I was hungry, um, while at home, that really helped. But even outside, if I'm outside with friends, and if I'm not hungry, then I told myself I'm not going to be tempted to eat. So I would just say no, or just take one small thing and just nibble on it for a while. So I think that really helped. The other thing that really helped is planning ahead of time. So I knew I'm going to a friend's place. So I did not want to go hungry to that place because I know they make a lot of fried food. They have two cooks and constantly fried food keeps coming to the table. So I would just have my protein smoothie right before I would step out of the house. So that would keep me full, that even if I did eat some of the pakodas, I could eat some of them, not too much. And also because I was eating and full, there weren't that many cravings. So the need to order something on Swiggy every Friday or every whenever, that has sort of gone down because I am, my body satisfied with the nutrition I was given it. So I wasn't craving too many things.
Fantastic. So cravings have gone down. You've learned the skills to handle restaurant visits or social events. Sometimes when we see ourselves as people pleasers, it's very, very difficult to engage or exercise self-control in social situations. So can you talk about this one incident where you kind of really blew your mind off and with how you handled that situation, right? You and Sarur had gone for some cricket, watching some cricket match or something, and you had some protein shake before you left. So can you just talk
Yeah.
about that, Vamsee?
So there was this time when our friends were at a restaurant for some event and they called us. And so we were expecting to eat in a restaurant, and I had my protein shake, and this place is very close to home. So when I reached the place, I was not at all hungry. And then I realized my friend had picked a buffet dinner place. This hotel had many restaurants. I thought we were going to sit in the sports bar and watch the match, but she picked the buffet thing. Now, the problem with buffet is there's so many things and you can't control what you're putting on your plate. And almost every other time I walk away from a buffet thinking, oh, this food was shit, but why did I eat so much? Right? So now I feel like I don't want to waste my calories on some bad food. So if I'm eating something, it needs to count. If I'm eating a really tasty cheesecake or a nice brownie, that's perfectly fine. But if I'm eating really bad, mass-cooked buffet food, why? So I wasn't hungry. So I sat there. My friend kept saying, why don't you get yourself a plate? I told her, oh, let me see. I'm not hungry yet. She said, why don't you have a drink? Alcohol was the other thing I realized wasn't giving me anything. It was just a drink that friends would pressure me to drink, and I would be like, whatever. All the sugar would go in because I'm not a hard liquor person. And at the end of it, I don't know, the buzz never really made me happy. It just didn't work with me. So I said, no, it does nothing for me. When somebody says, oh, why are you not drinking? Come on, this and that. And I'm like, it literally does nothing for me. So yeah, so I just kept postponing. I said, oh, I'm going to wait for my husband to come. I'm going to wait for your husband to come. They were both somewhere else. So I kept postponing it. And then towards the end, we were like, oh, why don't we move this to the sports bar? We can watch and eat. But by then it was already 10 o'clock. I was feeling a little bit hungry, but I had no intention of eating that buffet. So I came home, had a glass of buttermilk, and I was perfectly fine.
Bravo. Seriously, Vamsee. So what would have happened probably 6 months ago?
I would have eaten. I mean, see, buffets have a lot of starters and a lot of desserts. Main course all sucks, but who cares? So I'll eat every single one of those starters and I'll try every single one of those desserts. So I would have stuffed myself.
Hmm. So the skill of focusing on your bodily cues, your hunger cues, really helped you feel empowered to say a no politely or delay the whole process politely without feeling like, oh my God, there's just so much. My friend is telling me to eat this. I've got to eat this. So none of that confusion in your head. You're quite confident about the decisions that you make, right? Incredible work, Vamsee. So I want to talk about what other kinds of shifts in your identity and your beliefs did you notice during the last 6 months that we were?
Um, I think while we all want to lose weight, I think my focus went from weight to fitness. How fit do I want to be, and being okay with the weight that we have. Um, because I felt like, I lost this whatever little bit of weight you and I were discussing just now, right? Nobody noticed it because it wasn't that noticeable. Like I didn't shrink that much. It was noticeable only to me and my immediate family. So all of this in your head, like, oh, when I lose weight, people are going to notice, and they're like, oh, wow, it doesn't happen, at least not in this age, not for me. So I said, okay, let me just move the focus to fitness and movement. Now, I still haven't been able to do that much of movement for various reasons, but it's there in the back of my head. You would keep telling me to have, X amount of steps at least and monitor and all that. But for various health reasons, I just couldn't do it. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to try. I will. It's just so super hot outside. It's 40 degrees and I'll probably faint if I do that, but it's there. So I am going to start that practice as soon as I'm able to. So, and I also, I said, enough of focusing on this weight. Let it be. We'll eat healthy, we'll be fit, we'll be healthy, and be good with it.
And that's really, really a hard thing, hard revelation, I would say, given everything that you had to go through. And it's not coming from a place like, oh, you know what, it's just not going to happen. I'm just giving up. That's not what it is coming from, right? It's coming from a space where I've given my best, and this is how my body is responding. Let me embrace it, right, Vamsee, would you say that it's not like you're lazy, it's not like you're not putting in the effort, you're putting in the best of efforts while keeping yourself happy, making sure you're on a sustainable path ahead without depriving yourself and going through crazy diets or crazy amounts of exercise.
Right.
You're doing the best you can, and this is what your body is showing up in terms of data based on what your efforts are. And it doesn't mean your body is going to stop responding. It's just taking a little longer time than you would expect. So the ideal or a reasonable thing to do is now to shift your expectations to where you are currently, and look at other aspects of your goals where you're actually progressing or that there is more scope to improve. Right, Vamsee? Thank you so much for sharing this. And I think all of us needed to hear this, where we kind of tend to be a very, very hard on ourselves when the scale doesn't budge or body doesn't change shape. It's a really, really hard time. There is just so much going on inside of us with our hormonal imbalances that can make it very, very hard to lose weight, right? And it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. We just need to tone down our expectations and understand this is a long-term journey, and it is going to take much longer than what we expected to. The 30s, maybe things would have happened much faster, right? 40s are a different game. 50s are going to be even harder, right? So the point is we need to be more understanding of our body and be a little bit more kind and compassionate towards ourselves, and understand we are putting in the best of efforts that is possible by us, right? So thank you for sharing that, Vamsee.
Yeah,
So can you
and
please share?
just to
Yeah.
reiterate, it's not like you said, it's not giving up. It's not like, oh God, whatever I do, I don't lose weight. And going back to the old practices, it is at this moment, this seems to be the optimal weight that I can manage while doing all of this stuff. So let me keep the other things and see where I'm going. On the way, if weight loss happens, great. But if it doesn't, then let's focus on fitness. And the other thing that you had me do that really helped is managing stress on a daily basis. I think that's not something you didn't ask me about. I think that's not just helped me, but I am trying very hard to help my husband as well, who has a very stressful job. And he thinks going on a vacation once in 4 months or whenever is his stress busting thing. But obviously, life doesn't work that way. You can't wait for that many months. So I think doing something fun on a daily basis, even if it's for a short amount of time, um, to sort of talk it out with somebody, walk on the grass, or go to the swimming pool, have a dance class, do yoga with friends, all of that, occasional movie here and there, it has just basically watching your stress, being aware of your stress and doing something to uh, actively doing something to de-stress other than just, coming home from work and just slumping on your couch and watching TV.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Vamsee. And I'm so happy that that really helped you again. This is something that we need to actively do to keep chronic stress at bay. Stress is something that builds up very, very slowly, and we are not even aware of it until it really hits you, like with high blood pressure or you're at an emotional breakdown point, right? Where you feel so overwhelmed. That's when you actually start noticing it. But by then, your body is actually screaming for help. We don't want to get to that point. So that is why we have this practice called de-stress actively, where I work with my client to figure out a stress management toolkit that is so personalized and customized to them based on what brings relaxation to them. So that's what Vamsee built over initial stages of our journey. And she's been keeping that up again. You choose what you want, and food can definitely be a de-stressing mechanism. It doesn't have to be the only coping mechanism. Again, we want food to be one of it and the rest of it as well. And based on the situation that you're in, you get to choose which one is going to bring you relaxation today. So that's something that we need to chase de-stress and recovery very actively. So thank you for bringing that up, Vamsee. So if you can share about your coaching experience, like any feedback about the accountability, support, and the guidance that you received during this time.
I think all good. I mean, you were very sweet and compassionate and kind when I was not making progress or not following certain practices because of whatever reason. I think the non-judgmental part of it was helpful.
Really appreciate your feedback, Vamsee. And any message that you would like to share for the women who are watching this video, who are hesitating to take charge of their health because of various reasons, probably. So, what would you say to them?
I think everybody should prioritize themselves. Whatever your situation is, I think there is a way you can prioritize yourself and make sure you're on the path of nutrition and fitness, because at the end of the day, when you're old and unable to do a lot of things, none of these other people, including immediate family, are going to be able to help you, right? If you're not fit, then what's your husband also going to do? So I think it's time that right now in your 40s and 50s to prioritize yourself, make that time to do whatever it is you need to do to work out and eat well.
Thank you so much, Vamsee. And one last question everybody asks is, okay, now we have completed the program, what next? So, how confident do you feel about your skills that you've learned to carry this journey by yourself?
Um, See, I pretty much every practice that I've picked up and maintained, it's because I believed in it, right? So there will be times that I will fall off the wagon for various reasons, but I think I will keep coming back to it. I've also set up processes in place to make sure that doesn't happen. So my cook now knows my schedule of having my protein shake and making sure there is some type of protein at home. I have my fitness classes all set up. I have my one dance class a week where we dance to these crazy item songs, and it's just hilarious because well, I suck at it, but others don't. And it's just very de-stressing. So I think as long as you actively put those things in place, you might here and there be off. I mean, I have this box of eggs coming in every day. It's my milk guy delivers it, right? So let's say I don't have my eggs for breakfast. I have something else, but there's that box sitting there on the counter reminding you that, hey, this is the protein, high protein meal you were going to eat. So I think you should just be surrounded by all of these visual things. Um, And luckily for me, my family also eats healthy. So they've pretty much embraced all of the stuff that I've put out for them. So we all have now come together and we do some of these things.
Super. So shaping your environment, setting up structures and systems in place, getting the people involved, right? The people around you who help you out, getting them involved and garnering their support has been kind of like your fallback mechanism, right? So even if you were to get, move away from the direction of your goal, these structures and systems in place are going to remind you to get back on track, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful, Vamsee. Super happy to hear that and best wishes. And as always, I'm here. If there's anything that you need or any challenges that you're going through and you want to troubleshoot, I'm just a message away, Vamsee. Thank you so
Okay.
much. It's been a wonderful journey again.
No, same here. And I have to tell you that I think this went very well for me. And my husband has some health issues that he's been struggling with. So what I've now done is I've found a coach for him. So,
Hmm.
and of course, I sit in on all his calls to make sure I'm the one who's dealing with accountability in his case, right? So I think I do believe that sometimes coaches help meet your
That's
goals.
really amazing. The way how you have been able to transform and now you are able to kind of set an example for your husband. Brilliant work, Vamsee. Thank you so much and good luck in your journey. Wish you the best.
Thank you.